Welcome to A Magical Life, Health, Wealth and Weight Loss. I'm your host, Magic Barclay, lead practitioner at Holistic Natural Health Australia and #1 best-selling author. In this podcast, I aim to give you practical tips on how to accelerate and sustain your health, increase your financial, spiritual and emotional wealth, and to look at something that haunts many of us needlessly, weight loss. In some episodes, I'll have guests available to give you even more tips, but in others, the floor is yours. Drop us a line at A Magical Life Podcast on Facebook and let me know what you would like to know more about. Now, sit back and enjoy, because it is time for you to create and truly discover a magical life. Welcome back to A Magical Life. I'm your host, Magic Barclay, and I'm here with Lucia Gaviria. Now, Lucia is a mother of 2 little kids, a former business research consultant, and now a bulimia recovery coach. And we've been talking a little bit off air about bulimia and eating disorders and personality traits, so we'll bring that to you guys in our conversation today. Lucia has been in the US for the past 9 years and grew up in Peru most of her life. She used to be very career focused before she had her first son, but after a couple of years of working full time and seeing her son get sick a lot while she was working, she reevaluated her plans and chose to explore other ways to utilize her skills. And that's what brings her today to A Magical Life. Welcome, Lucia.
Thank you, Magic, for having me. Very grateful.
Oh, you're more than welcome. Now, tell me, what is something that you think put you in the realm of bulimia?
Wow, what a question. I think a little bit of what we talked earlier, that there is something genetic that, I know it's in the family. I am aware of that. I think that's one thing. Maybe I was predisposed to it. And the other thing is that I tried to make my body look in a certain way, and that put my body under a lot of mental pressure, physical pressure, and naturally the bulimia appeared. I say natural because literally the first day, my first episode of binging and purging, I wasn't really conscious. You would think you're conscious of it, but it wasn't like that to me. It was like being in a trance. And till this day, that memory kind of helps me understand that it's hard to control. Like, people don't choose to become bulimic. It's something that kind of happens naturally after you have been restrictive and have had pressure to fear of losing weight, and all those things combined. Eventually, your body just goes into survival mode, which is the binging. And I think, that happened to me. I was like many women, I think, over the world, but also in South America. I had pressure to look in a certain way, and the bulimia happened after I was trying to maintain my first and only diet in my life. I'd always try not to diet, but then the time I did a diet, that happened after.
Now, we were talking just off air a little bit about personality traits and whether eating disorders in general, so not just bulimia, but all of them, were something that's created from childhood, like from our learning. You have to do your best, you have to be the best, you have to get good grades, be a good person, or if it's something that's inherited. And I know in my family, I had anorexia, and now I have body dysmorphic disorder, and I've always been a high achiever. I have to do the best, better than everyone, and that included my eating disorder. I had to lose weight more drastically than anyone could. I had to absolutely be the best at killing myself. And my eldest son had anorexia when he was very young and now has weight problems. But my other son, raised exactly the same, with, just do your best. As long as you do your best, that's fine. He has no issues with eating disorders. So I can see that there is a genetic trait, but there's also that created trait from your experiences. What's your opinion on that?
Well, yes, I think that's true. That genetic part. I mean, all of my siblings. I'm the oldest of five, so from the five, I guess I had the most pressure as the oldest kid. So that could be like context, like you were saying, but genetically, I feel like we're all very aware that we tend to be prone to addictions in some way. But yeah, my opinion is that the the context does influence a lot. It will determine, like you say, you raise them the same and one is more predisposed than the other, but then my siblings, none of them ever did a diet, and none of them were told the things that maybe I was told growing up. So and like I said, I was the oldest, and I was like you, I was a high achiever. I feel like I could not let my family down in anything I would have to achieve. And that pressure, I think my siblings had their own pressures, but for me, I might have felt it in a different way. And also with my personality traits combined was like a black or white context. Either I'm thin or I'm a disaster, like kind of perspective. And that took me to uh, the actions that developed the bulimia.
Now, what can your expertise do to accelerate health, emotional, spiritual, and physical?
Yeah, I think I can help mainly to people with bulimia because I've been there. I've had bulimia and I cure myself. The physical part, I guess, would be the immediate part where I could help the most, because the behavior of binging and purging is damaging to your whole physical self, but also emotionally, of course. And I've learned what it took. I did the work like educational, and I can share the book that changed my life later. That book taught me why my body was behaving the way it was behaving and how to stop it. And then I implemented the techniques in that book, which was really hard to do, but I know it's possible. And I know I can encourage other women and men living with bulimia to do it for themselves. And then as soon as you are able to stop binging, that's the biggest physical improvement that you're going to experience. And then from there, it's just going forward to learning how to eat and learning how to listen to your body, which is that's a different type of recovery and task, and it brings other kind of challenges. It's separate from, I think, the bulimia in itself, but I can also help with that because it wasn't easy to know, am I full? I'm not full. Should I eat more? Am I going to gain weight? Like I still was the same person with my same fears and insecurities. So that was another part of the recovery that I can also help with. I would call it the more psychological and emotional side, where I can help you believe that you can do it. You can totally recover and learn how to listen to your body's needs and nourish them with what nature has given you to take care of yourself and your health. And I think that it's important to have support because um, after as someone with bulimia, it's in the darkness, is alone, and definitely you don't have the best self-esteem at that moment. So any kind of support that makes you feel confident that not only you're going to end the bulimia, but also you're going to be a healthy human being after that. And that, I think I mentioned this in the text we exchanged, that not only you're going to be healthy physically, but you're going to be able to experience what it is like to choose every day to love yourself versus what you were doing before, which was trying to do whatever it takes to be loved, which are separate ways of living. And the freedom that comes with, you know what, I'm just going to take care of myself. And then if someone doesn't like it, well, not my problem. And that freedom is amazing, and but it takes a lot of courage.
I think that's very key for all of our listeners to understand. There's one thing being loved by others, and there's a completely different thing being loved by yourself, and really understanding who you are as a person, what you don't just like about yourself, but what you truly love and appreciate about yourself, what you can bring to the world that will then attract people who truly love you.
Yeah, that took me a while to jump on that boat because when I stopped the binging and purging, I still wanted to be loved, and but stopping was an act of love for myself. And from there, I started getting a taste of what it was like to choose to love myself above all. And it has been a journey, I would say. It wasn't in a day that I was, perfectly. I'm not perfect, of course. I'm not perfectly healthy either. And I'm insecure in some ways and fearful in other ways. But at least food doesn't take time in my head or energy. And I think that that's awesome. I wish for many women and men to just finally live their own life instead of just all day thinking about how they're going to avoid eating a lot or gaining weight, and just all the thoughts that come with trying to be loved and not just living your life.
Now, in our discussions, we've talked about the feelings and the emotions behind eating disorders. What was behind your bulimia? Was it a sense of shame, a sense of fear? Did you want to hide? Like, what was behind it?
For me, I think definitely with bulimia, I was hiding the whole time. It was an extreme uh, hiding, like even from my husband, that person I live with, and the person I had the most closest relationship. I still hide it from him because I had so much shame of what I was doing. And I mean, I was very conscious of what I was doing, and it's pretty shameful to know that you're doing something wrong or that you consider at that moment disgusting, and yet you can't stop doing it. It's just very shameful. And even before I decided to start this coaching path, I was afraid because of the shame. Even though I've recovered, I still carry some kind of shame. Not that I deserve that shame, I do not, but it's just very normal to feel shame for, it's not like being a war veteran where you can get some recognition, even though you might have done things that are shameful, but that the label in itself is not that shameful. So I think shame was what made it secrecy and lonely. And behind all that, ultimately, I think I've always tried to be perfect. And bulimia and gaining weight, not controlling myself, purging, all those things didn't fit with the image of perfection that not only I desire, but I think above all, I think more than me desiring an image of perfection, it's just I didn't want to disappoint the people that I love. I didn't want to disappoint my parents. I didn't want to disappoint my husband. I didn't want to disappoint my friends. And I thought if they would knew who I really was, they would be disappointed and ashamed too. And I think that was my biggest fear.
And on the spiritual health side, when you start looking after yourself, everything else starts to develop. What is something that bulimia taught you in a positive way? What could you say you were thankful for?
Oh, yeah. Yes. Very thankful. Bulimia allowed me to experience what it is like to be a slave of a behavior. And it made me, the main reason why I cured myself is because I wanted my freedom really badly. And that it allowed me to discover what it is like to be free. I think a lot of people, you will see people walking around the street and we all act like we are free, but I don't think everyone understands what really means to be free until you feel you're not free. So we all may have some kind of addictions. We're addicted to a relationship. We're addicted to a substance, or we are afraid of something, and that fear stops us from doing something. In all these ways, I think we are not free to just be and live and be okay with who we are. And I think bulimia allowed me to experience the lack of freedom and then to choose that freedom for myself and experience being free, which it has been awesome. But I can totally, very easily remember what it was like to not be free. So I can, I'm always conscious of what I've gained, and I appreciative of what I've gained. And that experience has allowed me to not relapse because I don't want to go back there no matter what. I don't care if I'm, if physically I go down a bad road or I struggle in many ways, I just don't want to lose my freedom again, because I know what it is like. And also I know what it's like to choose to take care of myself instead of being trying to, look in a certain way so that people can love me.
That's great. Now, what are your top 3 tips to creating wealth, be it personal, financial, or emotional wealth?
The first one is, for me, visualizing has been really good. And I'm not saying I'm really good at visualizing, but at least I know I've done it. Like, I know what I have today. I've visualized it in the past. I visualized a healthy family. I visualized a adventure in life, and I kind of have that today. So that would be number one, visualizing what you want. And that involves, of course, giving yourself permission to have what you want. Like that, do I deserve it? Like, many of us struggle. It's like we don't think we deserve all what we want. But the moment you say, I deserve it, then you can visualize it. The second thing, for me, that gives me a sense of wealth is having nurturing relationships. If I only think of myself and I don't care about those around me, I feel, I don't know, it's like living in dry soil. Like, it's hard to blossom when everything around you is dry and not nurtured. You have to nurture your relationships around you, because it's hard to kind of do what you want in your life or have all the wealth if you have no one to share it and no one to support yourself in. So in relationship, I think are very important. And that goes to get away from the people that are hurting you. Of course, that should be another way. And then the third one will be take care of yourself, which I guess is the one I mainly gain from recovering from bulimia. I was like, I start experiencing what it is like to feel more energized and feel more conscious. Like, whatever food choice I've made since then has been because I think I deserve it and I need it, instead of just trying to calculate a particular outcome with my body or my weight. Now it's more about taking care of myself, and that gives me strength, confidence, and health, which I don't know how you can be wealthy without health.
That's great. So those top 3 tips, just to recap, the first was to visualize what you want and make sure that you allow yourself to desire anything you want and that you understand that you deserve that. Number 2 is nurturing relationships. Create nurturing relationships around yourself, because you can't blossom from dry soil. And number 3, take care of yourself, because your mental well-being and physical well-being will boost your relationships and create your health and your wealth. Bulimia is all about how you see yourself, and in particular with weight. What are your biggest issues around people with their weight, and how can they reduce their stress around this topic?
I mean, if you're a person right now listening that wishes to lose weight and is thinking about weight, my first advice from what I've experienced is, like, the moment that you stop trying to lose weight, you're gonna relax. You want to have a happy relationship with someone. And if you're focused all the time on that person liking you, you're going to just miss the whole experience and miss the relationship. So I think it's the same with your body. Like, if you try to lose weight, and all you're thinking is lose weight, and you're paying too much attention to what you're eating, you're paying too much attention to the calories, and that all creates a bubble where you're not really present in what's happening. And what's happening is that you're taking care of yourself. So how you take care of yourself, that's going to determine really at the end how you look and how healthy you are. So instead of trying to lose weight, you should just be trying to see what your body needs and try to listen and connect to yourself. And that might feel like going to another planet at first if you're always trying to lose weight. You don't know even how to listen to your body, but you need to learn how to listen to your body. Learn how to just be the number one responsible in this whole planet to make sure you are okay, you're healthy, you're taken care of. It's like finding a little baby abandoned in the forest. Like, what do? You make sure that the baby's okay. You make sure it's hydrated, like it's nourished, like it's growing healthy, that is emotionally okay. Like, that's how you should treat yourself, I think. And the moment that you shift that, you're gonna relax and you're just probably going to enjoy your food choices more because you're taking care of yourself. That's of course going to happen slowly, but I think that's key. And it happened to me after I was not necessarily obese when I had bulimia, but when I stopped caring about how to lose weight or how I was looking, and I started focusing on how to nurture myself and um, take care of myself, I started losing weight. I really stopped thinking about food. I started thinking about, well, I really feel like dancing, so I'm gonna go dancing. Or, oh, it would be great if we have fun and we have a drink and then we go for a walk. Like I started thinking more about like taking care of myself emotionally and psychologically and with my relationships. And so that completely distracted me away from all these calories and components and fat and protein that like is a word that we created. Like at the end, nothing compares to what your body really feels. Like if you really, really, really feel like eating a whole bag of nectarines or apples, then your body might need that, and it's okay. And there's the moment you start thinking about calories and all that is when you start getting anxious and you miss the point.
That's great. Now, some people probably don't recognize that they may have bulimia. What are the initial signs that there could be an issue?
Well, I've experienced the purging with vomiting and the purging with exercising, and a couple of times the purging with the laxatives. Those are the recognized like medical ways like that you would be diagnosed that you have bulimia. If you have an amount of food or calories, whatever the amount is, it doesn't matter, but then you feel that you have to do something afterwards to kind of compensate so that you don't gain any weight, whether that's exercising, vomiting, or using laxatives. If someone doesn't know that they could be having bulimia, I think that the question would be, do you try to lose the calories or the food that you just ingested after you have ingested it, or eventually? Like, do you try to kind of compensate, do the balance somehow so that you don't gain any weight? You're trying to do things to not gain weight, and you think that your behaviors are a little extreme, like you're eating a lot, or maybe you're exercising a lot just for the purpose of compensating the amount of food you ingested. If you are thinking, how am I going to compensate the food I just ingested? How am I going to lose that weight that supposedly I just gained from the food I ate? Then that mentality and that anxiety in your head, it's a sign of bulimia.
I think it's really important, listeners, for us all to understand that we are perfect no matter what. As an eating disorder survivor myself, and certainly Lucia, you can back me up on this.
Mm-hmm.
You are special as yourself, as you are. Your weight does not reflect your personality. It doesn't reflect how much love you have to give others. It does not reflect the goodness or the positivity you can bring to the world. It doesn't reflect your intellect. I think the media has certainly deemed bigger people as lazy or stupid or worthless, and that is really not the case.
Mm-hmm.
You are you, and your weight does not change that. Wouldn't you agree?
Totally, totally. Yeah, I wish we could all have somehow learned that no matter how we look or where are we in mental health, or how we look, but also our behaviors regarding food and weight, they don't determine everything else. We're not that. I think, yeah, you're right. The media, movies especially, or TV shows, like the character in the movie or in the show, it's highly determined for how they look. Like very rare, or actually never, I think I've seen a movie where the guy that the woman is in love with is overweight and he's actually pretty smart and pretty successful. Like normally the picture of someone overweight is someone to make fun of or someone to dislike. So I cannot talk for all media shows, but I think, yeah, I don't remember growing up admiring anyone that was overweight or learning that that person was worth it, that they were beautiful. And now I've changed a lot, because not only because of my disorder, but because thankfully there are people out there getting out there saying, I am beautiful, look at me, I'm imperfect in many ways. I mean, imperfect compared to the media portrait of what's beautiful, but this is me, the real me. And now when I look at like my marks from giving birth, like I have marks, I'm like, this is real. This is real body. Like this is what a woman's body does to give birth. And my skin is stretched and now it looks different. And embracing that is my own work, because there was no movie or song or holiday that says, let's just embrace women body the way they naturally are after giving birth. And unfortunately, it has been separated. Like, this image means this person is this, and this image means this person is that. And so it's really good what you're saying, but it takes individual work to accept what you're saying. I think when I was 18, if I would have listened to you, I would be like, nah, no, of course
Don't
not.
worry, I would have thought the same at 18.
Yeah, but it took individual work for me to accept myself, for now I can see beauty and I can see myself in any person. I know every person have their own insecurities and sufferings and types of addiction in some way, or not everyone, but most of us normal humans.
Well, I think addiction is somewhat normal. So many of us have addictions or leanings towards addictions. We just don't recognize it. It could be someone could be addicted to their phone. They could be addicted to smoking, or they could be addicted to watching TV, or they could be addicted to gossip. Like, we all have different addictions.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of recognizing those.
Yes, yes. And I think the moment you recognize yours, you start not only gaining acceptance of yourself, but also others. And what you just said, that you're not your disorder, you're not your weight, you are just a very valuable person, and you are able to say that because you went through it yourself.
Totally. Now, people can find you on the web at mindoverbulimia.com, or on Instagram at mindoverbulimia, and Facebook at lucia.choose-to-bloom. We love freebies here, Lucia. What can you offer people here today?
Yes, thanks. It sounds simple that it's a salad dressing, but for me, it's very important. It has a story, because I always associated salads with trying to be healthy, trying to do the right thing. So I couldn't really enjoy them because they had a meaning. They were, you know, like taking your medicine. Something you have to do. It's not something that you want or something that you like. The last 7 years where I've been healthy and getting better and better with my own insecurities and eating well, I've learned to enjoy all kinds of foods, and I've learned to identify what I like and what I don't like and how I like it, and just nourish myself. And this salad dressing is very simple, and it's what my mom always used growing up. And I never really cared for it. I just did it with my own salads. But every time I took it, like, to potlucks or meetings or reunions, everyone asked me about it. So then I thought, okay, maybe people don't enjoy salads like I do, or maybe there is something about this dressing. So it's just, you just mix lime, salt, and olive oil. And I don't know, have you ever used it, Magic? Have you ever had that salad dressing?
I have, but I use lemon juice. I hadn't
Oh,
thought of
lemon,
lime
right.
juice.
So I guess it's pretty similar. They're different flavor, but lemon juice or lime juice, they both, I guess they do like vinegar, but they combine lime and salt, and it brings the flavor out of the veggies very strongly. And that has helped me to do not complicate myself with any, like, if I really want to add something acidic or fresh into my meals, I just chop any veggie I have, like literally anything. It could be cucumber, carrots, celery, and just do that dressing, and the flavor is just very refreshing and rich, I think. And if someone that is listening associates salads with doing the right thing and doesn't really enjoy veggies, and I encourage them to try this simple dressing that has helped me enjoy veggies. I love eating any kind of veggie with that dressing, just on rice or pasta or anything. So just
Terrific. That's a nice little freebie. I like that. Everyone, you can go to Mind Over Bulimia and find Lucia there, and she would be happy to help you if you know someone that may have bulimia or is showing the signs, or yourself. She will be happy to coach you through that. Now, thanks so much, Lucia, for coming today. We've really appreciated it, and I hope you'll come back on.
Yeah.
Now, thank you very much, everyone, for joining us. Be sure to like and share and review this podcast. This was episode 19. Coming up in episode 20, we have Maureen Wilson, who is a very dear friend of mine, and she will be talking about dating later in life and some very juicy stories to share there. Everyone, go ahead and create your magical life. Thanks for listening today. Please subscribe to hear future episodes, leave a review, and share this podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at A Magical Life Podcast or at Holistic Natural Health Australia. That's holistic with a W. You can find us on Instagram at Holistic Natural Health or at www.holisticnaturalhealth.com.au. That's where you'll access all sorts of articles, freebies, and more.